There we go. Welcome, everyone, to this workshop on Free from Anxiety, a Life of Happiness. And of course, the topic is anxiety, but the goal is the life of happiness. So we're not going to just focus on anxiety, but we're going to focus on what's the transition that we make from anxiety to peace is the quality that we're going to look at. This is a workshop of the Brahma Kumaris, and the Brahma Kumaris are a worldwide spiritual organization. We practice meditation, we study spiritual principles, and then we see how we can apply spiritual principles in our lives so that we can have a life of peace and happiness and wellness. So we're going to combine both the spiritual practices that we have learned, and we're going to combine those with knowledge that comes from the field of scientific research. And of course, science and spirituality are not opposed to each other. They're simply approach issues of life from different points of view. And actually, they support each other. So we're going to look at this co-supportive approach. Spiritual techniques, spiritual practices combined with the knowledge that has been gained from scientific research and also some knowledge that's gained from the discipline of yoga, which is a very ancient discipline. It is grounded in a different kind of science. The scientific techniques are different from modern science, but nevertheless, time-tested scientific principles. And so I said spirituality and science. So anxiety is experienced by both the body and the mind, right?
Right.
So we have to address both the body and the mind. And actually, they are very closely connected, we will see in this course. However, we're going to look a little bit about how to approach from the level of the body. And the main organ that we're looking at in the body is the brain. And we're going to look at how to approach it from the level of the soul. And the main organ of the soul, which we're going to look at, is the mind. So you've got a mind inside a soul and a body inside a brain and all of these interconnections, but we're not going to get real complicated about it. It's going to be quite simple techniques, actually, that you can practice on your own. So our focus is going to be to increase the experience of peace. Peace and anxiety cannot coexist. So that's our focus. Now, in terms of what you will need, you'll need a notebook and a pen because it's a workshop. You have to process this information and come up with things and write. Now, why do we have to write? Because I said anxiety affects the mind, which is an organ of the soul, and the body. And so if we can combine the mind, the brain, the body together in creating happiness as opposed to anxiety, that becomes a very strong memory. So that's why the writing is important. Get the pen, hold the pen in your hand,
Mhm.
and when you write with it, that's helping you with the process, okay? And the second thing is I would encourage you to turn on your camera if you can.
How's the
It
camera?
will help me if I can see you. Even that for some people induces anxiety, so don't get anxious. But if you can, turn on your camera and then we can interact more as a group. I would appreciate that. And the other thing is if you could kindly turn your, mute your mic unless you want to speak. And you're most welcome to speak at any point, but there might be other people in your homes, or if you live where I live, there's sirens out in the street and dogs barking and things. So just so that we can all focus a little bit better, it's good to have a silent atmosphere. And then the third thing, this is your part, is you want to have an atmosphere that's free from distractions. So if you're able to put your phone in a different room, that would be very good. Or if you can just close your phone and decide you're not going to open the phone for an hour and a half, that would be very good also. And of course, if your children need something, don't ignore your children, but anything that's not essential, if you could remove whatever distractions you can for now. And thank you, those of you who turned on your camera. And whether you turned on your camera or you didn't, I hope that you will be willing to share. Okay, because your sharing will be very, very valuable. So now I'm going to start with, hold on one moment. I'm going to start with asking you a question, okay? So does everybody have your pen and notebook ready for this question?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll show you the question on the screen. So this question is, if you could experience just one day completely free from anxiety, with your mind at peace, your heart open, what would that day look like? And what would it reveal to you about your true nature? It's quite a deep question. So we're going to go into silence for a couple of moments and reflect on this. If you could experience just one day completely free from anxiety, with your mind at peace and your heart open, what would that day look like? And what would it reveal to you about your true nature? So I'll just ask you again, if everyone could mute, please, unless you want to speak. Reflect on this question. Would anyone like to share what you wrote? No, before you share, I'm going to ask you another question. How did you feel when you were reflecting on this question? How did you feel reflecting on this question?
Less worried.
Less worried. Anyone else?
Less nervous.
Less nervous? It's a little bit, it's nervous when you take a Zoom call, isn't it?
Yes.
And even the worry, is this going to be worth my while? Is it going to be a waste of time? Will it help me or will it just help everybody else?
Mhm.
My mother calls in the middle of the workshop.
Mhm. You know, Mary, anxiety kicks in
Yeah.
just all of a sudden sometimes when
Mm-hmm.
you're in a situation,
Mm-hmm.
like an interview
Yeah,
or
definitely. Yeah. Piazza
someone in your
Partners.
family had an accident, car accident or something. You know, you start thinking negative thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
your mind, you get anxiety, your body start reacting, heart racing. So, yeah.
Right. So this is what we're going to look at today. What other options are there? So would anybody like to share what you wrote? What would it look like? What would a day look like that's free from anxiety? And what does that reveal to you about your true nature? Because this is really key to this workshop is getting into what is my true nature, because my true nature is not to be anxious.
Right.
Any
A day with, say it again, Mary.
any brave soul?
Well, a day without anxiety, I feel calm,
Mm-hmm.
um, more focused.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like I can accomplish some goals without feeling worried, nervous, anxious, or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And Delapo, what does that reveal about your real nature?
It reveals that my real nature is peaceful
mhm,
because anything other than peace is a disturbance. So if there's something, if it's a disturbance, then it must be foreign to my real nature. If
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't align and it doesn't, you know, enhance, um, then it must be foreign to who I truly am. So, yeah, that's what I found.
Yeah. And Rupali's, I think, participating in a race, but
mm,
she texted, my day would be full of bliss and peace with the self.
mhm,
So this is what we want, right? We don't want a day full of anxiety.
mhm,
And so we're going to start now with the importance of breathing. And if you've done any training or classes or read any information about anxiety, we know that the way that we breathe is very critical because
mhm,
the way that we breathe can either increase our anxiety or reduce our anxiety.
mhm,
The breath has an effect on both the body and the mind. And
right.
I'll explain that a little bit in a moment. But first, I want you to try these two breathing techniques. So sit up straight with your feet on the floor. I can't show you the whole technique, but you're going to put one hand on your heart and put the other hand on the belly. Now, this grounds us in just this, when children are upset, a parent holds the child. This is like holding yourself, putting calming energy. And now the breathing technique is you're going to inhale for 4 counts and then exhale for 6 counts. And you can use your own counts, but watch the breath and count. Just watch the breath and count, okay? Inhale 4, exhale 6. Do this several times. Okay, now you can breathe normally. What did you notice when you were doing that breathing exercise? Anyone feel free to respond? Pias?
Relaxed.
Relaxed. Okay, good. Anything else? So why is this good for anxiety? Scott said the tension is slipping away. Oh, good. So the tension is slipping away and relaxed. Why is a simple thing like breathing good for anxiety? And the attention is on the breathing. That's a very important part of it. You brought your attention away from the mind, which is where anxiety resides, right? It starts here and then it radiates
Right.
all over the place. And
Right.
mindfulness, yeah. So you brought your attention out of your head and into your lungs in a
Right,
nice,
right.
safe place.
Mm.
Nothing bad happens in the lungs, usually. It's a nice, safe, predictable, calm, quiet place. So we're putting our attention in a good place. That's one thing. And the second thing is, why do we exhale longer than we inhale? So the breath, everything in the body is interconnected. And the breath is connected with the autonomic nervous system, the part of the nervous system that regulates automatic activities. The inhale is connected with the sympathetic nervous system, which is what puts us into action. And part of that is this fight or flight. So when you think, oh, this is terrible, fear, panic, the sympathetic nervous system is saying, do something, do something, do something. The exhale is associated with the parasympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic system promotes relaxation and quiet and calmness. So when we are anxious, often when we breathe, we focus on the inhale, and we've already got this sympathetic nervous system going because we think something terrible is going to happen.
Mhm.
So the sympathetic nervous system is saying, do something, do something, do something. And then we focus on the inhale, which gives us more. Do something, hurry up, do something. This is a disaster.
Mhm.
So what we want to do in cases like that is focus on the exhale, the relaxation. We put more into the exhale than the inhale. Now, some people, the way that they deal with anxiety is they run or they go and exercise or they
Mhm.
clean out the closets. They feel like
Mhm.
I've got to do something. And they're right. They have to
Right.
get rid of all of that, that message that the brain is pumping out.
Mhm.
So, but if you're at work, you can't do anything maybe. Or many times if you're sitting on the bus, you can't get up and start dancing.
Mhm.
So what you have to do, but you can focus on your breath. And you don't necessarily have to put one hand on the heart and another hand on the belly. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you can't. But you can just do, it's called regulated breathing. 4
Mhm.
inhales, 6 exhales, attention on the lungs, on the breath. And that helps you return to a state of calm.
Mhm.
Now I'm going to show you one more breathing exercise. This one comes from the field of yoga. And for this one, you're going to have to stand. And I'm going to stand also. And I'm going to back up so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, everybody stand up. Stand with your feet about hip width and feel that the weight is balanced on your feet, because balance also leads to a sense of calmness. And then bring your palms together right in front of the chest. This is called the Namaste position. And now just watch this once and then we'll do it together. You're going to inhale, bring your arms down, back, and up, stretch, stretch, stretch. And exhale, bring the palms together back to the Namaste position. Okay, we're going to do this together 5 times. Inhale, nice, slow, deep inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, good. Bring your arms to your sides and you can sit down now.
I'm familiar with that one, Mary.
Yeah, if you're an active person, that one is better for you.
Yeah, because I do yoga. Mhm.
Yeah, if you're an active person. So what this does is on the inhale, you are using that energy of the inhale to raise your arms. And then at the exhale, you're bringing your energy into a state of peace and calm. So, but you can't always do this. If you're on the bus, there's somebody sitting next to you. You can't
Right.
be raising your arm. Or if you're in traffic, you've got to have your hands on the steering wheel. So, but both of these are techniques that help reduce the energy of anxiety. And they're using the mind. We'll talk about the mind a little bit later, but the mind, the brain, and the body together, because we're experiencing anxiety in all three. And so they all three have to cooperate, right? They all three have to cooperate to create an inner environment of peace and harmony and calmness and lightness, and also be alert. So that's another reason these breathing exercises, they make us calm, but also alert at the same time. So now, do you feel energized and calm and ready to move on?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set an intention for today. And each one of you will have your own intention. So again, you need your notebook and you need your pen, because remember, when you engage the body, the brain, the mind together, that's a very powerful, it makes a very powerful impression on your memory track. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about an intention. First of all, what is an intention? So an intention, it's not about fixing yourself, and an intention is a little bit different from a goal. It's not about achieving either, but an intention is about aligning yourself with qualities that matter to you. So for example, if you're taking this workshop, it's not just that you want to get rid of anxiety, but there's some quality of life that you really love and you would like to have more of that quality. So it has something to do with reconnecting with your natural state of peace. Now you could say peace, clarity, stillness, concentration, enthusiasm, motivation, whatever quality matters to you. And so this intention is going to be like your compass for the day. It's going to be what you are focusing on. We're not going to focus, as I said, on anxiety, because whatever we focus on, we get more of it. But we're going to focus on this intention. So I'm going to just say a few reflective sentences to you. And then you will write down, you will visualize in your mind, what is your intention for today? And then write it in your notebook. Okay? So let's take 2 regulated breaths, which means inhale 4, exhale 6. And as you exhale, let the body become light. And as you exhale, let the mind become light. And then ask, what is a quality that can help me become free from anxiety, an alternative to anxiety? A quality that I really love and I would like more of in my life. quality that I would like to cultivate during this workshop. Write that quality in your notebook. And then just look at the word and see that word or words. Might be more than one word. Look at those words and see the words as being very powerful. That word or words, that's your power. It's your creative power. Now feel that quality being present in you right now. Now visualize yourself. When this workshop is over, you will probably become very busy. Your attention will be in all kinds of people and things, not on yourself anymore. But visualize yourself carrying this quality inside of you as you become busy and active and involved with other people. Visualize that. And now make an intention out of this quality. Write down a statement, your intention about this quality. Would anyone like to share your intention?
I have peace and happiness, and my attention is to not, as we end this session, because a lot of things can distract us, negative or positive, out in the environment, dealing with people, places, and things. So I'm setting my intention not let any negative distraction ruin my path of peace and happiness, and I handle it in a different situation to stay on the path of peace and happiness.
Good. So that's your intention, to
Yes.
stay on the path of peace and happiness.
Yes.
And so if the intention is written without any negatives, the message that the brain gets is very strong. My intentions is I'm not going to blow my top today.
Exactly.
My brain is getting two messages.
Yeah.
So your intention is I am staying on the path of peace and happiness.
Yes. Correct.
Anyone else want to share?
Hello, everyone. This is Delaka. I put down to pay more attention to my mind and what I'm thinking about, what I'm, feeling. And because I'm paying more attention to what's happening in my mind, I can be able to consciously decide that I choose to be calm in this situation because anything else
Mhm.
is not helpful. So but the main thing is being aware of what's happening within me.
Mhm.
And my intention is very similar to Donna's. So I have a sense of peace of mind,
Mhm.
and not just that, I'm able to, because of my awareness, be more in control of how I react to the world around me.
Mm.
So that instead of taking in the negatives, like you made a very beautiful point, Mary, earlier, saying whatever you focus on, you get more of. So trying to focus not on the negatives around me and everybody else doing something wrong, but recognizing that other people have their own backstory. I have no idea what their backstory is and why they have met me in the state that they're in. And to show compassion in that sense, and hopefully be able to bring some sort of lightness to them, a smile maybe.
Okay, this is good, but it's a very long
It's
intention.
long.
I'm gonna shorten it a little bit, okay? Your
Okay.
is I am aware of my inner world and I choose to be happy and helpful in every situation. Okay,
Very nice summary, yes.
you can carry around a few words.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good. So Soma said, my intention is clarity and direction
Mhm.
instead of being worried. So the instead of being worried is in parentheses. Instead of being worried and confused, I choose to focus on clarity and hope for direction. So your intention is I choose to focus on clarity and direction. We're not hoping for we're there.
Mhm.
And we'll talk about I am statements later on, how important it is to write I am. The poor brain gets confused otherwise if we're not clear on the message that we're giving. And Pia said, my intention is filtering thoughts. So I filter my thoughts. And what kind of thoughts do you allow? I filter my thoughts. And which ones do you allow, P.S.?
Very often I see that, thoughts that are really not needed, they bother me.
Yeah.
Those are like at the center of here, like waste thoughts. They do come.
Mhm.
But then through this workshop, I really have to push myself to get into the habit of really not letting these waste thoughts invade me.
Yeah.
They're
Because
just like unnecessary thoughts that have absolutely no meaning, no purpose. So it's better to have a little lighter brain or feel much better just to be busy with things that really matter eventually.
good. So just as the body gets burdened when it carries extra weight,
Mhm.
it also gets burdened when it carries around these extra thoughts. And that definitely can lead to anxiety. So
Right.
your intention is I filter my thoughts and I only allow thoughts that are positive and purposeful.
Yeah.
Let's see if I skipped anybody. I don't want to skip anybody. Anybody else want to state your intention?
Yes. I want to be soft spoken and cheerful in my interactions.
Good. So which words do you have to eliminate from there now? 2 words you have to eliminate.
Want to?
Correct.
Mm,
So how would you say it without the words want to?
I am soft spoken and cheerful in my interactions.
Yeah, you are. We can all see that, right?
Right.
Very good. Anyone else? Let's see. Scott said, I will remain calm today. Yes, very good. One day at a time. Tomorrow you
Yeah.
can make the same intention. Okay. So now we're talking about intention and thought and all of this, and we need to look at where is all this coming from? What is the mind? Where are all these thoughts coming from? What's the relationship between the mind and the brain? And what else does the mind interact with? So this is the topic that we're going to take up next. As it relates to anxiety, because anxiety is experienced in the mind, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now let me share my screen with you one more time. Okay, so the roots of anxiety from a spiritual perspective. Now, from different disciplines, the roots will be described in a different way. From a spiritual perspective, anxiety stems from identifying with temporary aspects of experience. So, for example, it's the weekend, your family is going on an outing, and you're focused on getting the kids ready, getting the food ready. Does the car need gas? Uh, do we have enough time to get there? Is there going to be a lot of traffic?
Mhm.
If we identify with these, we have to think about things, but if identify with these, I'm the mother, I'm the driver, I'm the caretaker of the car, all of these things, we're going to experience anxiety.
Mhm.
So we have to see what is another identity. We still have to do all these things, but what's another identity? Now, when I identify with, I have to fill the tank with gas, I've got to get the kids fed, I've got to get them dressed, etc. I've got to get them away from the television. Then my own body, the roles that I play, mother, driver, etc.,
Mhm.
and my own personal story, it becomes my primary identity. I'm a
Mhm.
mother, I'm whatever I am at work, I'm a driver. We start identifying with the roles that we play. That produces anxiety.
Yeah.
And so then the third thing that happens, this limited identity. I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a manager, I'm a member of this team. This creates vulnerability. And the reason it creates vulnerability is there's this huge being who we are, and we're limiting ourselves to just one little slice of what we're capable of.
Mhm.
And we need something outside of that role, and we can't find it. So this limited identity. So for example, right now, let's say I'm identifying, I'm the teacher of the workshop. This creates vulnerability. If I forget something, if I can't find my PowerPoint or something, I'll panic if that's my identity,
Mhm.
right? If that's all I am as a person who's presenting a workshop. And so scientific research, I should say, shows that however we identify ourselves, that shapes our stress response patterns. And that means that we set ourselves up for stress and identity, our stress and anxiety
Mhm.
on the basis of who I call myself.
Mhm.
Am I a meditation teacher? Is that my only role?
Mhm.
If it is, then every time I make a mistake, and I make plenty of them, I'm going to get anxious. But is there another identity that will allow me to make the mistakes, but not get anxious? And if I don't get anxious, I can recover from my mistakes. If I get anxious, I freeze, right? And then I can't recover from the mistake, and the mistake gets even worse.
Mhm.
So what is this other identity? Many of you have taken courses with the Brahma Kumaris, and you know what this other identity is. It's our internal identity. So we're going to look at, I said, there's the brain, which is a part of the body, and there's a mind, which is the part of the soul. If we can understand the soul, the me who has a mind, but also I have other organs within the soul. If I can understand the soul a little bit better, this will help me go beyond anxiety, have an alternative to anxiety. So the question is, who is this me who gets anxious? Now, again, I said, if I call myself a meditation teacher, I'm going to say this meditation teacher gets anxious. This teacher gets anxious because I might make some mistakes. I might forget something. I might leave something out. There could be a technical problem, like we lost Facebook. Don't know how that happened. But if I identify with myself as the teacher, I'm not going to be able to give the workshop if I lose Facebook, because I'll be anxious all the time. So there has to be another identity. So the other identity, I'm going to share my screen with you again, is that we are souls. Each one of us is a soul, a conscious being living inside of the body. And you can see this little picture here. There's a little star behind the third eye point on the forehead. This is where the soul resides. Now, we can't see a soul because
Right.
it's not part of the material world.
Exactly.
So the brain, the brain can be dissected and you can find all the different parts of the brain, but you won't find the mind, you won't find the soul because it's not part of the material world. The soul inhabits the body, but it's not part of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And so the soul or the conscious being is the me who either experiences anxiety or experiences calmness or experiences joy or experiences curiosity. The conscious being, the soul, is the experiencer, and the soul is different from the body. Now, the soul, and here are some differences, the soul is eternal and imperishable. That means the body dies at some point, the soul just leaves, and the body occupies a body. The soul, the soul occupies a little body, has a life. So the body has a beginning and an end, but the soul does not. The soul
Right.
is beyond all of that. The soul is eternal. And the
Mm.
soul is a being, we could say, of light, very refined spiritual light. And we know from science that whatever's happening in my consciousness, I radiate that. Waves of that. And we actually pick that up from other people. We pick up if another person is happy or not happy. A person can smile at me and say, "Oh, you're very good."
Mm.
But inside, that soul is saying, "I don't trust you." The soul picks that up. The soul picks up the vibrations of another soul. We're constantly radiating. But the soul, in its pure, non-anxious, relaxed form, radiates peace, love, wisdom, and truth. This is the light of the soul. And so the seat of the soul, where the soul resides, is in the center of the forehead, which is where we feel ourselves think. And it's where we feel, it's where anxiety starts. The anxiety can then go into the brain and it can then go into the body, but it starts at that level of the conscious being. And so the soul is like the driver of the body. So just as you would drive a car and it's very clear to you that you're not the car, the soul kind of drives. On the one hand, the soul drives the body. The soul tells the body instantaneously, take a drink of water, get up and leave. Or the soul uses the ears to hear. The soul tells the eyes, look over there, see what's going on. So the soul is managing the body, but the soul is also managing the self, which is my thoughts, my emotions. Now, most of the time, I would say, at least part of the time, the soul is not really managing my thoughts and emotions. They're just bouncing around like ping pong balls. And it seems very chaotic inside of myself. But the soul can manage, the soul has that ability. And so, even when very strong, anxious thoughts and emotions come, the soul has the ability to manage them. Now, it's better to practice management when not too much is going on. It's
Yeah.
easy that way. But the soul always has the ability to manage. And so this is kind of the crux of the practice, is that if I want to be free from anxiety, I have to manage my thoughts and my emotions and the actions that they lead to, so that I am choosing thoughts and emotions that lead to good actions. So, for example, one common way that anxiety is expressed is overeating, eating when I don't need to eat. But again, there's that sense that I've got to do something. Well, maybe food will help. So that's an unmanaged pattern of the soul, the mind. The soul is experiencing anxious thoughts that are appearing on the mind. And those those thoughts that are appearing are giving me the sensation of, this isn't comfortable, I don't like this, something really bad is going to happen or could happen or has happened in the past. Negative energy. And the brain, who is the faithful servant of the soul, says, oh, serious, serious, we've got to do something. Eat, let's eat. So that's what happens unmanaged. So when we get into the practice of managing, I am a peaceful soul. I'm a stable soul. I have control of myself. I can choose my thoughts and I can choose my actions. When we have these kind of thoughts, and then the wise, benevolent me talks to these thoughts and says, oh, we're getting upset, aren't we, because of these thoughts that we're having? So, are there different thoughts that we could have that would maybe lead to something better? So, instead of, oh, this is terrible, something terrible is going to happen, maybe we'll have the thoughts, this is the situation that I'm in right now. What would be the first step? The first step would be to be peaceful, because when I'm peaceful, I can think well. And then when I think well, I can come up with a good solution. So now we're putting our energy into a different part of the brain. We're fueling a different part of the brain. So we're going to get a different kind of solution. The brain is going to give a different kind of signal to the body. And we might say, well, one thing that I could do is go to the refrigerator and eat. But would that really solve this situation? No, it wouldn't. So let's sit down, make ourselves peaceful, think, maybe get out my notebook, because when you engage the body, it's a more powerful impression on the memory track. Let me start working out a better solution. This is the way that we can intervene when we understand that we are souls and we have the ability to make a choice. We're not controlled by the brain, although the brain does feed information to the soul and the brain can influence the soul. It's a two-way street. But the soul is ultimately the ruler of the brain. Even we can overrule an impulse that comes to the brain. So if the brain says, this is terrible, this is horrible, something, the brain is saying, alert, alert, do something fast. And the soul can say, I'm going to get peaceful instead. And I'll give you an example of a person who's been a big influence in my life, a lady named Marilyn King, who is a good friend of mine when I was in San Francisco. And Marilyn King was an Olympic track runner, and she ran an Olympic event that it was like several, it was maybe 5 different events. And in one Olympics, she got a gold medal for that event. Might have been Tokyo, but I don't exactly remember. And she was fully planning on participating in the next Olympics 4 years later. However, she got in a very serious car accident and she couldn't train. She couldn't use her body hardly at all. And so she mentally trained every day. Every day, she mentally went through the training that she would have done with her body if she were capable of it. And she was not able to actually train with the body until she went to the tryouts for the next Olympics. And then she used the body and she got as far as the last cut for the US team. She didn't make the team, but she got pretty far. And she did that with the power of positive thinking. And so after that, she retired from track, but she started a company training people in what she called Olympic thinking, Olympian. She called it Olympian thinking. And she said, those who win medals in the Olympics, when they wake up in the morning, their first thought is, I am going to win the gold medal. And they visualize themselves doing that. She said, this is an essential part of winning in the Olympics. They say it, they visualize it, and they hold that. What am I going to have for breakfast? What would a gold medalist have for breakfast this morning? What time do I get out of bed? What time would a gold medalist get out of bed? What kind of thoughts would a gold medalist have? And so this is the power that the soul has over even the body. So when she was mentally training, she was preparing the body by not doing anything physical. It's quite remarkable, the power that the soul has. So we have to practice, right? The soul, and so the soul in scientific research, of course, the brain has been studied a lot, but also the mind has been studied. And it's through research that we know that thoughts are energy because they travel in waves. And the thought waves have been measured. And we know that we can have nice, slow, smooth, even waves, which is what happens when we're having purposeful, peaceful, concentrated thoughts. And we can also have waves like this, which is
Racing thoughts.
this is right, racing thoughts. This is anxious thoughts. So we know about that. It's been confirmed by science. But the other part of the soul, which research has not gotten into too much yet, is that the soul contains consciousness, but the soul also contains goodness. The fundamental nature of the soul is goodness. And this goodness includes where we are eternally, naturally, innately peaceful and loving and kind and joyful and honest and authentic. And our energy is very pure. This is what's natural for a soul. However, because we have identified with these roles that we play, oh, what if I make a mistake? And everybody else does it. And so we think it's the right thing to do. And so this is how we develop things like anxiety, jealousy, greed, arrogance, all of anger, all of these heavy energies that pull us down. And so the more that we identify with our goodness, and this is what you did when you set your intention, you pulled out your own qualities of goodness. You just pulled them out and you put them down in paper. My qualities of goodness. This is what life should be like for me. And so we reinforce that through our thoughts. And we reinforce that through, it gets very powerful when we have a positive thought based on my own truth and we put it into action. That's the most powerful. So this is what we call soul consciousness. And it's an ongoing practice. It's something we have to practice every day because everybody else is going to see you according to your role. When you're at home, your family's going to see you according to whatever their relationship with you is. Then you go to work, people are going to see you according to whatever your job is. You go to the grocery store, you're going to be seen as a consumer. You go to the baseball game, you're going to be seen as a fan, and you're supposed to respond like a fan and stand up and cheer when your team gets a home run, etc. So we can identify with these roles, particularly if when we're in the family, everybody's identifying with their family role. And then you go out with your friends to the ballpark and you're with thousands of people who are all identifying with the role of being a fan, a baseball fan. So
Mhm.
you think that's what you are. No, it's not. So we have to constantly practice who we really are, which is this divine being of peace and love and light. And so this is why it's very important when we practice, when we meditate in the Brahma Kumaris, we use our thoughts. We don't try to be free from thoughts because it's not natural to not think. And actually, thoughts are very powerful. And positive thoughts move us forward in life. Everything that exists, this ability to meet on Zoom, we have this opportunity because of the thoughts that people had. Because of their thoughts, they created technology. So thoughts are good, but we want to have peaceful, positive, productive thoughts. And so we start with thoughts that activate the goodness within the soul. And then once that goodness is activated, then the thoughts that we have about the world, about our roles, about what we're going to cook or where we're going to go, then those thoughts are filled with our spiritual quality and there will not be anxiety in it. Now, anxiety can come up anyway because it can be triggered. So I go to the grocery store, I go to Trader Joe's, it's Saturday, there's long, long lines. I always get in the longest line. And so I'm in this line waiting to get to the checkout. And old anxieties can be triggered by the situation. It's possible. But if I'm practicing peace, if I'm practicing being a soul, I can use my thoughts now to disperse that energy of anxiety. I can say, no, as long as I'm just standing here, why don't I be happy? Why don't I have happy thoughts? Why don't I send thoughts of happiness to everybody else? So over time, we change our thinking process so that the anxiety will still come, but it doesn't get very far. It just comes as a little reminder. Oh, I wasn't being positive and now I have to be positive. And so these I am thoughts, these clear, not I will try, not I hope, not I might, not tomorrow I will, but these right now thoughts, because even research has shown that when people want to meditate, those who use clear thoughts, I am a meditator, their practice is 32% more consistent than those who use what is called an aspirational thought, which is, well, I would like to meditate, or I hope that I can meditate someday. Those kind of thoughts confuse the brain. I'm giving two different messages to the brain, and the brain is trying to process them both at the same time. So it's not leading me to consistency in my meditation practice, or my practice of peace, or my practice of stillness, or my practice of exercising every day, whatever it is that I want. We have to give a clear, powerful message to the brain. Okay?
Yes, yes.
Any questions or comments from anyone before we continue?
No, so far, no.
Okay. So now I'd like you to pick up your pen again. And I would like you to write 3 I am statements. And these are statements that describe you, the soul. You, the soul, not you, the character. The character named Kishore or Dalapo or Donna. No, you, the soul. 3 I am statements about you, the soul. What are you? What are your qualities? Where did you come from? Okay, can you do that right now? 3 I am statements. Would anybody like to share? It's very powerful, actually, speaking your statements, because we're engaging the soul, the brain, and the body. Anybody want to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
I am peace. I am love. I am happy.
These are very powerful statements. Probably most of your statements are similar to this. They're
Yes.
powerful, unqualified, clear, undeniable statements. And so if we can say these statements to ourselves frequently and say them with feeling, this connects us with our own eternal truth, because those statements describe the eternal truth of the soul. That's what the soul is. Those are the qualities of the soul. And so any statement that connects me with my eternal truth is going to be more powerful than the statement, I'm the meditation teacher. Well, that's a temporary statement. I might not be tomorrow. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? But if that's my truth, I'm a meditation teacher, and tomorrow something happens and I can't do this anymore, then who am I? Then I'm going to really be anxious. But I am peace. I am love. I am happy. Come what may, I can pull out those statements and feel good and also move forward given the circumstances in front of me. Okay, so now one more step in this process. We've talked about breathing techniques. We've talked about having positive statements about the self. We've talked about knowing who you are, your eternal self. And now the next part is to connect with, you need the Zoom ID, Pias?
Yes, Sister Mary. So a friend of mine is trying to join from Africa.
Okay, can I tell you? 875 7367 0795 and then peace 360. And I'm glad you did this, because I missed a couple of intentions. Oh, I said the intentions. Okay. Okay, is that okay, P.S.? Okay.
Yes, Sister Mary.
And
Thank you.
it's recorded, so we'll put the recording on Facebook to compensate for not getting on live. So the next step in the process is we need both long-term support and an emergency toolkit for those times when anxiety gets really overwhelming. We need to be able to somehow gain control of our own consciousness again. And we need to have a place to go for help. And so fortunately, there is such a place, and that is the Supreme Soul, the one who is a soul, like we're souls, but we're souls in bodies. And because we're in bodies, we are really limited by the material world. We're constantly identifying with the material world. I'm a senior citizen, I'm a female, I live in Chicago. These are all limiting statements about myself. But the Supreme Soul is not in a body, is not in the material world, and therefore has no limitations. But as souls, as conscious beings, beings of light, beings of energy, just as we can connect with each other, soul to soul, we can also connect with the Supreme Soul. It's possible. Energetically, through the power of our thought, we can connect. And so this connection can give us the positive inspiration and the positive energy that we need when anxiety arises. It's a very important connection. And it's not just about believing in God or reading about God or talking about God, but it's really having a soul to soul connection. This is what empowers us. And so this is what we're going to look at now. The eternal source of light. Who is this eternal source of light? And so this being, we could we could depict this being as a little point of light, because of course this being doesn't exist in the material world and has no form that we can see. We could just say a point of light, a divine being who exists as pure self-luminous, which means it's not the light of the sun reflecting off this being, but this being has internal light, a point of light, and one who is unchanging, a source of knowledge, peace, love, happiness. And because this being is not in the material world, but in a dimension beyond, always pure, always constant, never any changes. And so when I say this connection that empowers the soul, we can actually experience the light of the Supreme Soul, this pure, positive, benevolent light, and it fills us with stillness and love. And we recognize this as the Supreme Soul, as a very pure being, pure and powerful being. And we can then reclaim our own true power and our own divine identity. We souls are also divine beings. We're divine beings in human bodies on earth. And so we know all about being human beings. But in order to really understand and experience and enjoy our divine nature, the other aspect of our nature, we have to connect with this being who's only divine, who's not in a human body. And so this is ultimately the way that a soul becomes free from not only anxiety, but from any form of negativity, whether it's jealousy or greed or low self-esteem or fear or arrogance, whatever. This is how we become free. We identify, yes, I'm a soul, and I'm like this Supreme Soul who is eternally positive. I'm sometimes positive and sometimes I'm not. But if I connect with this being who's always positive, I can become more positive. And the other advantage of this one being who's outside of the material world is this one is always available. Human beings aren't, right? Even our own family members aren't always available. But this being is always available, eternally available. And so we can invoke the presence of this being and feel the light of God. And this quiets the mind. It brings peace to the mind because this being is eternally peaceful. And so this being is there to help, has all of the energy that is needed to help souls. So we have to be in the awareness that I'm a soul. And what does a soul need? Peace, love, power, clarity, freedom, respect. These are the qualities that a soul needs, and these are the qualities that a supreme soul can then provide us with the qualities that we need in order to activate those energies inside of ourselves. And then we use those energies in order to deal with all of the things that happen in life. We don't try to escape. We don't try to have a life where nothing happens. We want a life where a lot of things happen, but we need to be able to deal with them in a peaceful and positive way. And this is what we gain from having a connection with the Supreme Soul. And we're going to finish with a little reflection on how do we do this? How do we connect with the Supreme Soul? But I first want to mention there are other places where we can get power from. We don't have to go to the Supreme Soul, but we have to look at what kind of power we're getting. So, for example, if I get my power from caffeine or sugar or alcohol, what kind of effect is that going to have on the brain? Going to have a disturbing effect. And it's not going to allow me to enter into the qualities of the soul. And so the thoughts that I have are going to be disturbed, and the actions that I have will probably not be very good actions. Or if I get my power from watching movies or watching videos, or I get my power from going to parties. Nothing wrong with going to parties and nothing wrong with watching videos. But if this is where I'm getting my power from, what kind of power am I getting? Because if we watch videos, we're going to be exposed to many different vices. And even when we go to parties, we're going to be exposed to gossip and other forms of human vices. And so and that can be very strong and powerful, and it can be in my mind. I can hear gossip about somebody who's a friend of mine. It can be really juicy gossip, and it stays in my mind for a long time. And I might even share it with somebody else. So what kind of power am I getting? Not power to enter into my own good qualities. And so the pure energy of the Supreme Soul activates the divine qualities within us. And so if we go there for our power, it's opening the door to all of my inner resources. And I think we all know that anxious thoughts thrive on attention, and they also thrive on resistance. So if I'm having the thought, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, I don't have enough time today, I need to do this, it's not going to happen. If I'm having all of these thoughts, and then I just tell myself, no, stop, don't think, don't think. Well, if I say don't think, that just makes me think more, right? So they thrive on resistance. And so resistance is not the way to free myself from anxiety. I have to consciously redirect my thoughts. Let me get outside of the physical world. That's the best way. Just get outside of the physical world with my thought. I'm not really going anywhere, but I'm thinking about myself, the soul, this beautiful being of light. I'm connecting with the Supreme Soul who's beyond, in a dimension beyond. And now I'm freeing myself from all of the limitations that I have created about the material world. And I'm also activating a different part of my brain, engaging a different part of my brain. I'm getting out of the place of fear. Okay, any comments or questions? So I'll show you one more slide. Somebody I think is not muted. There. So if everybody could stay muted, please, that would be great. Then we can meditate in silence together, which is good. You don't have to have silence, but it works better in silence. So I'll share one more screen with you about this powerful connection that we're going to make. So we're going to establish a sovereign connection. Sovereign means I'm in control. I'm choosing to make this connection between the soul and the Supreme Soul. And the Supreme Soul we can see as a little being of light, radiating beautiful, powerful, positive light, which we're going to pick up. And then this connection gives me access to the divine qualities. Now, if I'm feeling very anxious, it's going to be difficult to make this connection. If it's low-level anxiety, I can. Best when there's no anxiety, and that will fill myself with good, positive energy, which then I can use later. And so we're not managing anxiety. We're not just coping with anxiety, but we're claiming our natural state of peace and our natural relationship with the most peaceful being. So it's like an emergency kit for these difficult moments. It will be difficult to get peaceful if we're feeling very anxious, but it's not impossible. So now we're going to do a little experiment, okay? So once again, we're going to do a little reflection. Sit up straight with your feet on the floor. Take a few deep, easy breaths. And as you exhale, if there's any tightness or tension in the body, let it go. And now you can look down, if you like, towards the floor with your eyes in a soft focus. Or you can look at this point behind me, this point of light, and bring your attention within. You can close your eyes also, but if you close your eyes, the mind tends to wander a little bit more. If you can keep a focal point, just focus your eyes somewhere, that helps. Bring your awareness now to the center of the forehead, the location of the soul. You, the soul, reside here invisibly. And visualize yourself as a tiny radiant point of light. Although you're in the body, you are independent of the body. You're different from the body, distinct. You're a tiny point of light. You are beyond any role that the body plays. And you have no worries. Thoughts may come, even anxious thoughts may come. See them as clouds or mist, and they're floating through my consciousness. You are not the thoughts. You're not going to run after the thoughts. You're the observer. And you're a silent, peaceful being of light. Now we're going to shift our awareness, we little beings of light. We're going to shift our consciousness beyond this material world and beyond the noise of the mind, and see yourself now, or project yourself into another dimension, a dimension of pure golden red light, a dimension of souls, only souls. There's no matter, no bodies here. You, the being of light, in a dimension of golden red light, and in front of you is the source of spiritual light, the Supreme Soul, a tiny point of light who is eternally a being of peace, love, wisdom, and you recognize that you also are a being of peace and love and wisdom. So you're not asking God for anything, but you are allowing these qualities to be awakened within you. Peace, love, wisdom, in the company of the purest being. Now feel the waves of light emanating from this being. Very gentle light, benevolent light. Feel these waves surrounding you, filling you with strength and also lightness. And now focus on a quality you would like at this moment. You're not asking for it. You're just focusing on what would be good for you. Would it be peace, love, clarity, strength? If it's peace, feel waves of stillness entering your mind, dissolving all tension. And if the quality is love, experience warmth filling your heart, every corner of your heart, replacing any feeling of emptiness. And if your quality is clarity, see light illuminating your path, removing any confusion. If your quality is strength, feel an unshakable power within you, making you steady and courageous. And now focus your attention on that tiny being of pure light. And feel that this being knows you, the soul, acknowledges you, and perhaps gives you silent reassurance. You are peace. You're not thinking about peace or thinking about love or looking for peace or looking for love. You are that. Now bring your awareness back into the present moment, but hold the thought, I, the soul, am connected eternally with the Supreme Soul. And the Supreme Soul is always available to me. So one more thing I want to share with you, which is a recap. And it's kind of a recap of a 5-step process for anchoring the self in peace. The first step, and I don't think I have a slide of this, I'm sorry. Wait a minute, I take that back. Hold on. I have it here. Here it is. Okay, let me share this with you. All right, good. So here's the 5-step process for anchoring peace. The first step is notice. This is if you are feeling anxiety. The first step is you notice and name one physical sensation of anxiety. So, for example, my head hurts, I'm tapping my foot, I'm looking around and I want to get up and move. I can't focus my eyes. One physical sensation of anxiety. And then you do 3 of these regulated breaths. Hand on the heart. You can also put another hand on the belly. Inhale 4, exhale 6. And then you speak one of your I am statements. So you have to know what your I am statements are. I am peace. I am love. I'm a powerful soul. I'm a being of light. You can say it silently or you can say it out loud, whichever you prefer. And then you visualize light or warmth surrounding you for 15 seconds. And then the final step, you take some action now that brings you back to the present moment. So it might be you take a drink of water. It might be that you smile. It might be that you stretch. Something that takes you back into some action that takes you back into the present moment. Simple process. And good to not wait until you're really anxious, but to do this just at the first sign of anxiety. Okay. Thank you all for joining today.
Nice presentation, Sister Mary.
We have guided meditation every Monday through Friday at this same Zoom link, 2 times, noon Central Time and 7 p.m. Central Time. They're both for a half hour. You're welcome to join. And also, some of you are from different locations, and wherever you are, whatever country you're in, even, there's probably a Brahma Kumaris meditation center someplace close to you. So you can also contact your local center and see what kind of programs they have to offer to you. And let's see what else we have here in the chats. Okay, and if you would like guidance on how to find a Brahma Kumari center close to you, or if you want other online resources, you just email me or call me, and I'll be happy to help you. Also, we have, if you'd like to know about upcoming events at the Chicago Center, you can go to our website and you can sign up for our events list, which we send out by email every 2 weeks. And this is recorded, and the recording will be posted on Facebook. Can you share the last 5 steps? Okay, let me share this again before we leave. So the last step, the reason is I got confused because I had 6 steps here. The last step is after you have visualized the light and the warmth, then you do some action that brings you into the present moment. You don't want to just stay stuck. You want to get yourself anchored in peace and then go back and bring that peace into life. So the last step is some little action. You stretch, you take a drink of water, you wiggle your toes, something like that, that brings you back into the present moment. And it's an action that says, okay, now I'm ready to enter the field of action again. Okay, any other questions, comments? Thank you all very much for joining. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.